I got a 2003 Honda Accord. I want to say 2003. This initially came in because the customer stated that they just want the keys program, and I was like, yeah, sure, bring it. But the autel doesn't have the capability of programming these keys. Now, I've done Honda keys, but this obviously is a T5 type key. It doesn't have it written on there, nor do I see the other insignias that specifies that these keys are not capable of being programmed. But this, I can't access the module to program the key. But I remember, you gotta forgive me because I work on a lot of vehicles. I replaced the computer in another vehicle before because of condensation and water developing inside the computer itself. And I didn't have to program anything because if I recall properly, the ring, the immobilizer here on the key lock cylinder is what determines the code. So I shouldn't have to program it. I just cleared all the codes in the memory doing an auto scan, and I was able to start the car up from the car I did before in the past. But that had like different problems. I can't remember. It was specifically, I just rarely have to replace computers, but I couldn't communicate with the vehicle. So let's go back here. Let's go here. So what I'm thinking, because I had to take a day, figure out a game plan with this car, because there's no codes in the computer system. The only thing is the security light flashes. I have 2 keys. He said he just came out one day and it just wouldn't work. He suspected it needed a computer. He put a computer in it. Here we are. And again, I cleared all the codes, and there's no codes in the vehicle, and I should be able to prove that to you. Let me just do an auto scan. It's going to take a while, but while I'm going over this, I'll talk, because I like to talk. I'll try to give as much detail as I can, and hopefully I can. I'm not saying I can't fix it, but I just want to be able to be 100% as far as what the problem is and what needs to happen. Because again, replace the computer. Here's the old computer here, and I did my due diligence as far as taking the computer cover apart to see if there's anything, burnt, condensation, anything. I didn't see it. So here's the other thing that bothers me with this car. The car immobilizer system with this Honda deactivates the fuel system. So logically, I should be able to put in brake fluid, starter fluid, and start up. I did spray starter fluid in it. It didn't do anything. So to also add, this car hasn't been ran since July of last year, and it's April 1st today. So this is what we got. And usually you can kind of get a hit. Let me show you the code. So there's no codes in the transmission, and the ABS is one. I'm not worried about that. Body electrical, no codes. The immobilizer, no codes. So there's nothing in there. So I'm gonna pause this right here, and I'm just gonna pause it because I'm not worried about the rest of it. There's no codes, and especially in the immobilizer and the PCM, and that's it threw me for a loop. So let me show you what I got when I was trying to start it up. So we got tach operation. It's just not starting. Now, normally you'll get a blip where it can hit, but it's not strong. And I really don't know what went on with this vehicle. The fuel pump's priming. I can hear it in the back. I can hear it in the back priming. So I'm gonna pull those plugs out, see what the plugs look like, because they'll tell me. Because I'm like, well, why does the car sound like it has no compression and it's not starting? On top of this, because I know I should be able to get it started with the supplemental fuel. Again, this deactivates the fuel system. So based on the wiring diagram that I pulled last night, I was like, okay, what is the way I can confirm the startup? Well, one, I'd imagine I could put starter fluid in it. That didn't work. 2, I could take another option, go to the PGM FI relay, ground it out for the fuel system, so to supply power to it, and it should start up. Okay. Now I think the PGMFI is supposed to also supply power to the PCM, if I recall properly. But the PCM is on board. Like I can look at live data. There's no codes, So I'm canceling that out. I'm just going through a process of deduction and saying, okay, well that shouldn't be a problem. But if I want to, I should be able to jump that. But first thing, I want to pull those plugs, see what it looks like, because at least I should get a hit, like a crank, an initial attempt to crank, and then it shut down because of the security system. That's what I'm trying to get, because it seemed like this can be bypassed, So let's pull those plugs out, see what they look like. They should be soaking wet, and we'll go from there. This is just a future video after everything is running and there's no more issues with the light. So before, when everything did fail, I want to just let you know I did have a ban on Immobilizer PID. Now it says run. So that's after everything is fixed. It states run. So if you have that ban, start looking for the mobilizer, start checking all the circuits and stuff related to that, because you should get confirmation and give you the okay to run this vehicle. So you're either going to get ban or run. BAN, B as in boy, A as in alpha, N as in Nancy. That's when it wasn't running. Run gives me the okay. Start this up and get it to run. So yeah, just want to let you know that. All right, to add also, I wound up checking the Immobilizer powers and grounds, and I did have adequate powers and grounds. So having adequate powers and grounds at the Immobilizer could potentially say that the Immobilizer receiver unit's bad. And I showed you that because that's the thing that's sitting at the key ring. Let's pull one of these. He's got all brand new coils in there. I just see that these are clean, brand new. So it definitely, oh shit, I need to clean this up. It looked like some efforts were definitely tried to resolve this. See if these plugs are new or soaked, or fouled. Yeah. They do look worn. They don't have to be black to be fouled, but the material with the contact points between the ground and electrode should not be fouled out, meaning that it shouldn't be obfuscated or soot should be built up on it, but these look like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if these plugs aren't that well. I'm gonna take all the plugs out and just put them through the wire brush. They are old. So, but I'm gonna take them out. It's free to clean them, and that'll definitely improve the spark. And we'll see what happens if it hits a little better. All right, this is the last one. I just got it clean. This is what it looks like now. And I just want to get some of that dust off of it. That soot. So we can see if it'll hit a little better. I do have a problem with all these aftermarket coils, because the coils don't fail like that. They shouldn't all have to be replaced. No, well, maybe I take that back. I thought it was aftermarket. These are Denso, made in Japan. So take that back. Eating my words. These are Denso coils. These are factory coils. So, hey. Let me just put this on here. Like I said, I'm not always right. No. Trust me, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I wish I was. nothing. Let's pull this sensor out. This is the starter fluid I'm spraying in here. I'm just looking for it to hit, that's all. It should start up though, logically. See, that don't sound right. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let me check the power at the coils. See if we got power. I just need to see if we got 12 volts somewhere. Let's see if it jumps. No, so there's no spark. Interesting. I don't hear a pop or anything. So logically, I got power. So I need to check for ground. I mean, it should jump even if this alligator clamp wasn't all the way in there. This is the path of least resistance from here to the ground here. Shikes. So let me check for ground. See if I got grounds. Got 12 volts. You should just utilize the engine ground. Now, context clue, you know, the owner did state, yeah, I got ground. I think that's, I don't know if that's signal or not. No, the black is center, that's ground. So I have 12 volts and I have ground. Signal is obviously going to be the next thing. That's strange. Now, signal. Let me try one more thing. Let me try this one, this route. No, that's not gonna work. I think I use this longer one. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Let's see if it'll jump back. So it seems like I don't have any signal to my injectors or my, well, I probably got injector signal. I don't know about injector signal. I definitely don't have firing from the coil. So the signal side is not working. Should I go after the PGM-FI relay? But I got a crank signal going in because the tack's moving. I seen the RPM signal on data also. So I mean, that should say that I'm getting, I gotta look back at the wiring diagram. I don't have any signal. I just didn't think the security system would deactivate the fuel system and the firing system when it states it just deactivate the fuel system. What I could do, just to be on the safe side, check the power going to the injectors. I'll just do that. I think I got the key in the on position. Yeah, I got power. So there's no purpose of checking the PG-MFI relay because it sends power to the... I don't like the way it sounds when it's rotating, but that doesn't mean too much. The car doesn't have a crank cam correlation problem or P340, anything like that. So, but sometimes it may not start. The code may not manifest during the startup. All right, I'm gonna try to capture this info, what I got going on, but it's kind of a lot. I wound up checking the receiver and everything checked out. I was able to check for 12 volts on pin 7, had the black and yellow 12 volts, had a ground on brown and yellow, and this is all with key on, engine off, obviously, and let's see here, pin 5, it went to dash. That's what controls the light. I took a test light and grounded it out, and the light in the back stayed on solid, so it just made everything seem like the receiver is just bad from my fault. I followed the instructions. So now, strangely, I said, let me see what happened if I go back into the immobilizer unit. Before, I couldn't gain access. Now I got access, which is strange. So I'm gonna see what I can do and what comes about this. So I can add and delete keys. Let me see what comes up. This function is necessary for registering keys. All right, let me try that. Add one key. All right, I'm just gonna go through the basic stuff. That's weird because before it was mobilized system is not normal. Try to perform system check. I could not get in here before. I think the receiver's just bad. System check, number of keys. Let me see what we're here. All right. I really think this receiver's just jacked up. Yep, immobilized system is not normal. System check. System check B1. The ECM PCM is not registered. Possible causes of ECM PCM not registered. Try to register the PCM ECM by using ECM PCM. The communications was not good with the ECM PCM and the immobilizer unit. Battery voltage low. This is possible failures right here. So let me see if I can. Let me go back. That's weird. I can gain access now. I don't know. Hopefully this works out. Turn the ignition switch off. I might just put the old PCM back in and see what happened. What I should do is check that wire. Which one goes to the PCM? Okay, so number 2 is what goes to the PCM. That's the red and blue wire. Now, turn the switch off. That's weird. Check all keys to make sure the engine will start. That's weird. Oh, wow. Lights off. What the fudge cake is going on? See, that I don't understand. I don't like the fact that I don't understand. I don't know what happened. At least maybe somebody can better explain this. But I basically just went through the appropriate checks of the receiver, and I was able now to, like I said, I went back into the immobilizer. Now I'm able to gain access. I couldn't add or remove keys. It wouldn't let me go through a computer test. Not a computer test, but a system check because it detected the fault. You saw that. Went back out, turned the key off and back on. Now I could go through a test, and I could go through ECM, PCM replacement. I don't know. Let me see. Let me go back. I got another key here. The problem is, if I give this customer the car back, they're going to be back in the same boat. That's another key they have. Ouch. Lights off now. Crazy. In identifix, it stated I cannot gain access to be able to program these keys. And the other technicians stated they had to go to the dealer. This is the MK908. Let me just back out. Let me back out. Let me show you where I went to. You should be able to see. So the glare doesn't kill it. I'm in the Immobilizer setup. Right down here in Immobilizer. I'm in control unit. Went in there, went to Immobilizer. See, I literally went through this. I got third something. It said something in regards to, yeah, see, it said this, third Immobilizer, and I could not gain access. That's weird. Dang it, man. Went to special functions, and now I have all the accessibility. I couldn't get through this before. Let me see why the check engine light's on. This is weird. I know it's gonna shut down. This is like, I shouldn't have done that. Bad thing. I just don't want to get his car back to his customer, even though it's fixed. I checked the 5-volt references to make sure the PCM wasn't defective, and I had 5-volt references at the mass, not the mass, but the map sensor. So I'm like, okay, there's no issues with the PCM likely. Now, when I did do a check, I was incorrect as far as the power supply, because I thought the PGM-FI supplied power to the injectors. That's incorrect. It supplied power to the fuel pump, which also confuses me because the signal is supposed to go from here, from the receiver to the PCM, and then it's supposed to take the information and goes back to the MIC, multiplex integrated control unit, which is where the PGM-FI is located, and send power to the fuel pump. So my thing is, if the security system is jacked up, had the flashing, why would it still send power there unless I had incorrect information? Manifold, that was B. I did that manifold pressure, because I disconnected that to check for voltage. That's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sorry, I don't have like any type of information for y'all, but what I will do is go through the test that I did versus just telling you what I did. I'm going to show you what I did, and you know, maybe somebody can take this information. The signal wire is the pin is pin 2, the red and blue wire. That's what sends the code to the PCM. Now I was curious to see if there was a change in value. Hold on. I was curious to see if there was a change in value. So I did hook up to that pin 2 while playing with the key. And when I was starting it up, when it wasn't working, I had a value of like 12 volts and then it dropped. Let me see if I can get this camera set up so we can all see. I'm just gonna have to narrate the wires I'm testing. Got my notes. So the ground that I'm using is right here at the metal protector behind the dash. I just got a alligator clamp there, and I'm gonna take my lead and hook up to the alligator clamp. Now I'm gonna show you what I did, because I beat on this unit, nothing changed. It is flipped around. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Take this out. What I could do is just leave a key in there and see if anything changes. But at the moment, I'm just going to turn the key in the on position, and we're going to check powers and grounds. So pin 7 is going to be white and red. So we here in the United States read from left to right. Left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So 1 is supposed to be ground, the brown and yellow. And we got below 0.3 volts, 0.03 volts. So that's 3/10 of a volt. Let's see here. This is the code wire. Number 2, the red and blue. That's what goes to the PCM currently. It has 12.4 volts. Now I'm curious to see if I put a key in there, what would it do if it worked versus it not working. So let me since everything works now, let me put the key in there. I don't know if it's going to change or not. I don't know. Throw the key in here. I'm just curious because I might have been wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Scratch that. So with it not working, it dropped down to 11 volts. With it working, it dropped down to 11, went back up to 12. It dropped down to 11.7, went back up to 12. Let me do it one more time. 11.7, went back up to 12. That's with it working. And let's take it out. 11.7, same thing. And I mean, it's probably, I don't know how the signal works. I'll have to literally hook up an oscilloscope and look on the in-depth level of it. I don't know. I was just kind of curious. Maybe we could see it with a voltmeter, but that didn't show anything. So, unfortunately, that didn't help. Now, let's go to number 3 is the gray wire that goes to the DLC connector, which is pin 14. Number 4 is the dash light. That goes to the dash light, obviously. Number 5 is the dash light, but that's the one you can test and see if the dash light stays solid. I wonder if I can get down in there. Let me see if I can get this. So with that test, what I did, I took my test light grounded it out. Went to pin 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, green and yellow, and it stayed on. So I tested that and it stayed on. I don't know if that had any influence in tricking the cluster or what. Don't know. I don't see how the cluster will have an influence on this. So also 6 and 7 is 12 volts, so you can use a test light. Test those two. Test light is illuminating. So we have battery voltage on that. You can also load test this ground if you decide to, but those last two, 6 and 7, are going to be 12 volts. So I don't know what in tarnation that I do, but sometimes testing components can make things work. And I don't think it was a connection because, again, I pulled this out, put it back in, beat on it, tapped on it. There was no moisture in it, pulled it apart. I don't know. But, oh boy. And next thing you know, after doing all that, went back into the module. And here I am. Was able to program things, or I guess reinitialize things, and it worked. Let me put it back in properly. Lights off. It starts up. Oh boy. I'm gonna leave this video up. I'm not gonna edit anything out. I'm gonna show you everything I did, and up to the point where I start recording, and hopefully somebody can fill me in. Maybe I can come back to this months or years later and be like, oh, that's what it was. But I did have to sleep on this issue. If it do come back, I'm pretty good for it. I'm definitely going to update, let you know what happens. But I have values. I think the receiver's failing, honestly. I just wish one thing, that the code that goes to the PCM is something that we could use. You know what I will do for the sake of information? I'm gonna hook up my oscilloscope, get on that pin and see if that shows a signal, because it's a code. A code is going to be like electrical Morse code. So just like the CAN gateway, I'd imagine we'll probably get the same type of signal. So let's see what it looks like with a bad signal and a good signal. So we're going to try to establish a pattern for this receiver transmitter unit on the key. And so we're going to be hooked up on the number 2 pin. That is the red and blue. That's the coding wire that goes right directly to the PCM. So we're going to first extract a pattern for a non-working system. So this is with the light flashing. All right, got the key and ignition switch. Oh wait, I need to start my scope here. So we're going to be on a 1 second time base for division and a 20 volt scale DC. So if you notice here, let me take the key out. So this is key off, key on, it spikes. A pattern is trying to be established, and then it levels out. Turn the key off, turn the key back on within a second. Pattern tries to get established, falls off. Turn the key off, and after, let me see, how long is this? 1, 2, about 2 seconds, then the voltage bleed completely off. This is with the system working. All right, let's zoom in, see what our pattern looks like. This is it trying to be established. Turn the key on, tries to read, nothing, light flashes. This is approximately About 20 milliseconds of the pattern trying to be established. And we did this 3 times. Same pattern. Went down again. Where's that joker at? Same pattern. Let's do it with the key working and no flashes. So I'm gonna stick the other key in the module, in the ring, cycle the key on and off, and we'll see what happens. Uh-oh. So already we see a difference. Zoom in. Remember that drop off? So I wonder, so this is me cycling the key on. Let me see if this is the same. That was about 20 milliseconds. Before, I guess that's the time the module receives, take on the responsibility to try to receive or transmit, well, not receive, but transmit the information. Well, both, I'd imagine. It has to load up to take the time out to pull the information, extract it, and send it back out. So this is what we're seeing. Keys on, and it tries to drop off for whatever reason. The voltage drop off. I guess the read process the key information, and then there's our code right here. Here's our code. There's our pattern. It looked like a low speed can. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then more patterns at the top here. Like a can low, that's what I want to say. Like a can low, not a can high, so it receives that drop off signal. Here's our other key cycle. Let me see what the gap is between that initial, what's this? I don't know what that is. I don't know if that, I think that was me like cycling the key real quick. Let me see if there's on another one. Let's go to this one. That's interesting right there. I wonder where that came from. Let me do a clear cycle right quick. All right. So this is me cutting on the ignition switch. I didn't see this before. I don't think that's probably noise. That's probably what that is. Is because there's no square pattern established. So I don't know if that'll be any substance for anybody, but we can do a quick cycle. You know what? Let's do this. Let's do a quick cycle with it not working and a quick cycle with it working. That's with it not working, with it working. All right, stop that. Let's go back. So not working and working, not working and working. So we still had that little ripple. That's probably noise from me turning the key, and voltage probably getting distributed. So I'm not gonna break my neck over that. So the biggest thing is this drop off initially. So when we turn the key on, we get this ripple. Then we get this drop off from the module, but this is it not working, so we don't have a pattern. All right. Here's it working. Cycle the key on, we get that 20 millisecond drop off, and then we have a code established. There's our pattern. We have 4 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So it checks, this recognizes a falling edge versus a rising. So it drops off, it picks up a low, picks up the low points. So this, you can't emulate this. You can't tap this kind of Morse code: 1 2 3 4, 1 2, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, and then you can't establish this. You can't emulate this. It's not a constant resistance value. This is a code that is recognized, and then there's more. That's just what this recognized. Nobody can hit a ground, take a test light, and emulate this well enough and precise enough for this system to be tricked. It's not going to work. And then that's when we cut the key off in the back here, and the voltage declines. That should be respected of a depleted amp. Current, sorry, same thing. So here's our pattern. Identifix did help out a lot. Trust me. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to get to this point without Identifix. We tested the ground, we tested the positive, we tested, well, two positives, the ground, and we were able to control the light, and we just didn't have any output. So basically, the secretary of the system for the Immobilizer is ineffective, is inefficient, and it likely is failing. So I feel better letting the customer know what we got going on, even though it works now. I can say, hey, look, I suggest you replace the ignition switch, the Immobilizer receiver. And I think that's the best route right now, because I don't know any other what else to say. But I do believe, like, if I ever have to diagnose one of these in the future again, I'm gonna keep this video up. This is where I'm going to, because and I'm be honest, I didn't look up anybody else's video because I'm kind of prideful. I can figure this out. That's me. But I Identifix didn't have it on there. No other technician had this information on there. So I was like, you know what? Let me take the initiative to compare and contrast. And I got this information. So we know how to test the receiver module thanks to Identifix. But then here's a pattern. This is a good 12 volt low side switch signal. We got it. We see it. So if I ever have any issues, this is where I'm going back to for my own source of information. And I have had to do that. But I'm gonna get everything put back together, let the customer know. But if anything happens, I'll definitely update. And I'm pretty sure we should be good, because I think we're fine. I think we're fine. Maybe things may work forever and not fail like the Volkswagen Audi I did with the PCM. I just had to diagnose that, pull the system apart, put it back together, and it never failed. And it's been driving for months since. Maybe this system may be like that. But I've had receivers fail before, and I just had to replace them. But I took a shot at it. It was a shot in the dark, in all honesty. But now that I know, I won't say a shot in the dark, but I did do a basic test. That's what I'm saying. I didn't do this. Didn't have the knowledge at the time. So now that I know, this is where I'm going to, and we'll see what happens. That's all I can say. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, and have that resource on my work. See you on the next one.